Good morning, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. It was foggy and drizzly rain here all weekend long, and then late yesterday afternoon, another front from the north came through, but it's not going to stick around for long. So we've got normal temps, gray skies, must be Thanksgiving. So we're looking for temps in the 50s. Drizzle, fog, sunshine, off and on. So about what you'd expect this time of year. I always kind of like a blanket coming down on the earth around Thanksgiving through Christmas, and then you got your winter to get through. So we're still short on moisture. The hard red winter wheat crop could certainly use some more, especially when we have these very, very strong bouts that come in. We don't have much in the way of news today. We didn't have much in the way of news over the weekend until Constantino from the ECB spoke, but we had the German IFO business climate forecast beat the forecast, came in 104 plus. They were looking for 103. That took the EU's stock market up, probably Asia's too. China, Hong Kong were up. Japan wasn't. The FTSE was off minimally. The CAC and the DAX rallied. It's taken our markets up too. So as far as stock markets go, the news out of the ECB, basically Constantino, I believe is his name, said that the ECB would be doing anything and everything it needed to do to support the market. QE1 is in place and will be moving, and it can be larger or smaller depending on what the need is. So Europe stock markets rallied. The tendency this week for our market is to rally into Black Friday. There's a nor'easter that will bring snow to the northeast and rains and bad weather from the Carolinas to the north that's already being earmarked or highlighted as a possible reason for disappointment in Black Friday sales. It's going to be hard to characterize Black Friday sales as Black Friday things. How most of the major retailers started 10 days early. But we will see how those numbers are done. But the tendency this week into a holiday, into Black Friday, is for stock markets to rally and for the financials to move sideways. So that'll be probably our overall directing or guiding influence to this week's markets. E-minis up some 3 to 4 points. From Friday's close. The financials are lower. We came into Friday's markets with a looking to sell failure to take out 22 to 26. The high is 24.5. Just kind of split the difference. The European markets rallied starting an M period. The financials started to sell. Last rotate up. Single prints at 20.5. So this 20 to 21.5 is probably pretty stout resistance starting out. Today's news is pretty limited. In the United States, we have Chicago Federal Reserve's National Activity Index that nobody will pay any attention to. You want it above 0. You have PMI flash services that's trying to step in and take over the ISM stuff, but not with a great deal of success. And then the Dallas Federal Manufacturing Survey that nobody will pay a lot of attention to either. So we really don't have any news today. The direction of the ES is probably what's going to drive our market. So our first sell, it's very, very aggressive, is 19 to 23. And then our second sell is 27 to 31. On the buy side, I think we're headed a little bit lower. We have this 9 to 13 area. We're pointed lower. The E-minis up, so we'll make 9, 13 buy 1. And then 1 to 5 buy 2. And we have a 2-year auction today. Thank you, Don. The auctions will be today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. There are also floating rate notes and tips, I believe, this week. So the 2-year auction will tend to support this. So I'm hoping to buy early on weakness, but that might make a 17. where we have to get in. So let's get a test of it. Is support at 8 to 12 or is support at 12 to 16? That's what the issue is. I think because we have a B and because the stock market has pointed up, we can buy a little bit on cheap. And if you remember the 3-year auction, the market actually sold on the 3-year auction. So I do think we have a chance to buy it a little cheaper. Well, that's the plan that we'll start with. Hope everybody's football teams won this weekend. Tennessee had a lot of people off the roster, some self-imposed, some because of injuries really decimated. Missouri just, it was never a close game, even though the score showed it. They came in and thumped us. And they're a ranked team, and they're pretty good, and they could be playing for the SEC championship here if they get past Arkansas this week, which will be a big game to get past. If not, Georgia will be. So I didn't have a whole lot of fun watching that game, but that's the way it is these days in Knoxville. I always get everybody gets so excited about firing the coach and getting rid of him, but unless you're in a spot where you're just surrounded by talent anyway, like Southern California or Alabama or the Florida schools, it's a 4 to 8 year process to rebuild most teams, and it's a 2 to 3 year process in those areas that have lots of athletes. Boy, last night there was a catch in the New York Giants-Cowboy game that was unbelievable. That'll make the highlight tapes forever. Okay, the bond is pointed lower. We'll make 17 to 13 by 1, and then 5 to 9 by 2. On the sell side, we have this 29, so 27.31, sell 1, and then 3 to 7, sell 2. Our sell area on Friday was 42 to the buck. No, it's 42 to 04, and we had a high of 07. So again, our number 2 points on the bond are usually doable. Thanks, Don. Okay, gold was pretty quiet. I think a lot of the markets this week will be quiet, just from the lack of deep U.S. participation. It makes it easier to manipulate things, which is not good, but if you get on the right side of that manipulation, you can make a lot of money. So right there is our split, and London's high was 97. We've got the spill from 98, so we'll make 98 to the buck. 1200 is a sell. And then we'll make our 3 to 5, sell 2. Buy 1, 90 to 92, and back to our 85, 87, which is an area I do like. But again, I don't think anybody's going to be dumping their gold holdings for, they're not buying it to invest or to trade. Most people aren't. And when the central bank whacks it, comes in and knocks 30 to 50 bucks out of it, people buy coins. And the premium for coins versus bullion is still significantly higher than it has ever been historically, which once again shows you how strong demand is for gold at the retail level. And India and China's trying to make their gold exchange the premier gold exchange in the world. Going to try to take it from London. That'll be hard to do. But India lifted its ban on importation of gold, and that's been really, really supportive too, plus the Chinese gold exchange. Okay, looking at the euro, we came in on the euro hoping to buy 50s to 60s. Didn't get it. This thing was up off of the opening and it's traded up, and we had a sell in the 95 to 05, then 25 to 35. So we'll keep our 25 to 35 area, put us kind of in the sweet spot right here, sell 1, and then 45 to 55 for sell 2. The yen getting whacked is probably more responsible for the euro being up than the euro being up on its own merits. Last rotate down stopped at 81. Then we have a 95 low and then 124 even. So the buck, which 90 to the buck, letting them get stops below 124. So we are longer term. This thing is still a sell. Rallies are to be sold. And then buy 2 at 75. The 75's okay just because it's a round number. The 90 to the buck is pretty aggressive. And really is against my long-term idea. So okay, crude oil. Most of the economic news that you read over the weekend supports a softening world economy. OPEC meets this week. If they were to cut production quotas, crude would really rally. If they leave production quotas as they are, probably going to head lower. Saudi Arabia is probably intent in letting the price of crude oil go down is to hurt Iran and Iran instantly, Russia instantly, and to make frackers in the United States think twice about going out and borrowing a lot of money. Ironically, what Saudi Arabia will do in the States is the first thing that drives up your drilling costs is the cost of land, and that is significant. And we've seen stuff that in Kansas you couldn't lease. You couldn't get anybody to lease it for $50 an acre, go for $1,500, $2,000 an acre on 2-year deals. That certainly will come down, which actually lowers the cost of drilling. So it's a two-way street. Just the economics, from what I read, for the stuff that's been produced so far, is 45 to 55 bucks a barrel out of Texas and North Dakota. Land costs would change that. So I think crude's going to find a seller where it has found it in the 77.50, 78 area, unless OPEC this week cuts their production quotas. Then we'll rally back quickly up north of 80 before the selling sets in off of economic softness. So, right here, this is resistance. So 75 to the buck, sell 1. A quarter to 50 is sell 2. On the buy side, it's trying to trade lower. We've got a P if you look at the entire distribution, but inside the congestion area, it's starting to lean B. So I think we can buy it a little bit cheaper. So I'm going to start out at 50 to 75 for buy 1, but we may have to move that up to 76. Let them get stops beneath that number, and then buy 2 will be 20. The buck to 25. And I like to buy against 75 because it is a very round number. And everybody's favorite market. You can pretty much this week come in and buy the E-mini with impunity. You might not like it, but come Friday afternoon, you're probably a pretty happy camper. It's just everything is pent up, everything is built. Black Friday, the retailers, even when you have a poor Black Friday, you know, people say, well, they spent all their money on Black Friday, they won't do it. But it's always been a pretty good indicator. I mean, people loosening up their purse strings. And some of these deals are amazing. I mean, you've seen a lot of discontinued televisions, the 32-inch for like $175 in the Walmart system. I mean, who cares if they're discontinued? I mean, you can't go out and buy, that's what you're buying 22, 23-inch monitors for computers. So some of these prices are be pretty hard to turn down. And what it'll do is it'll get people in the stores. And based on the amount of people, they'll say, well, they didn't spend a whole lot of money, but they will. So, I mean, resistance is at 70 to 72. That's sell 1. And then 75, 77 is sell 2. The long side is the side from which to trade. 60, 62, they make us pay up early to get in. We usually get our price very late in the session where we had hoped to buy it, but if you're going to be long, you're going to be in there early, and then if they can't take out resistance, you get out. So strong market. It is going higher, if not from the economy, from central bank support. And as long as central banks are willing to pump money into the market, the major players out there will trade from the long side. So if you haven't gotten used to it yet, you better. Okay, it'll take at least 20 minutes to get everything up and posted. Got some narrative to write. I'm going to get busy on that. I'll be back as soon as I can. In the meantime, good trading.